for the time being.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, I think we might have some people watching us now. We've had some technical problems. We've got Ed, the winemaker. We have wines. We have
Hello,
people
everyone.
on the questions and answers app, but we don't have anyone in our Hangout. So just before we start, guys, now you can hopefully hear us. There should be a message which invites you to join the Hangout. So come join us and taste your wine and ask questions live. While I'm waiting for you all, please do communicate via the questions and answers app. This is our first producer hangout. As with the technical hitches, Bruce is also a technical hitch and he couldn't make it. So I'm going to introduce you to Ed, who's going to tell you a little bit about the Bascula brand and the wines and why they started it. Over to you, Ed.
Okay, Harriet. Thanks for choosing the probably the most technically illiterate person in the wine trade as your first guinea pig here. But hopefully people can see and hear me. I'm actually in Spain at the moment. There's some children shouting outside just for some authenticity. Have a little house in Montejaque, which is near Ronda. And in fact, went to see a very interesting winery today in Ronda. They started up about 15 years ago in this area, and there's some quite interesting stuff from Tempranillo and Cabernet and Shiraz, Merlot, etc., and some Pinot Noir, which would be quite interesting in this hot climate. Anyway, Bascula, me and Bruce. Bruce apologises to everyone. He had a sort of last-minute visit, was scheduled with M&S, looking at his organic onions. So he's also a farmer in South Africa. Apart from being a grape farmer, he does various sort of veg that he sells to Woolworths, who is sort of the M&S equivalent in South Africa. Anyway, Bascula, he and I have been doing it for about 6-7 years now. It means scales, the old-fashioned scales. You'll see those on the there's some messages here. You'll see the scales on most of the labels. Slightly cliched, I guess, represents balance. Balance in the wine, balance between New World and Old World, me and Bruce. There you go. Yes, well done. Thank you, Harriet. There. And then under each one, you'll see their turret fields. There is actually one of the main vineyards for that wine has a sort of a faux chateau in the vineyard with a rather large turret. So each sub-brand in English sort of relates to the area that the wine comes from. So we try and give it a little personality of its own. Harry, I'm not sure if people can see us here. There seems to be a lot of messages about blurry logos.
Yeah,
but,
Jonathan can see us.
Okay. So he and I have been doing this for about 5, 6, 7 years now. We started off with Rumilla, and now we've got 7 wines in total, including Rioja, the Rueda, which you'll be tasting today, the Turret Fields, which was one of the first wines we did back in 2000 with the 2005 vintage, which we launched in 2007, which is a Monastrell Syrah mix, and the Rueda is a Verdejo and Viura. The philosophy is, apart from we want to make, or rather blend, the best possible wine with our various producers, to have the lead varietal as always indigenous. We're not averse to a bit of Cabernet here, or a bit of Shiraz there, or a bit of Viognier in one of the whites that we do. But the lead varietals will always be Spanish, because they have this wonderful roster of native varieties, and the world is full of Me Too Chardonnay and Shiraz and Cabernet, etc. So we want to keep it as interesting as possible and as Spanish as possible, I guess, with perhaps a bit of a New World twist.
Brilliant.
So I have a very intelligent question here. Does the rain in Spain mainly fall on the plain? Well, yes, it's been raining a lot here. In fact, I got here on Tuesday and the heavens opened, but we're up in the hills here near Ronda, the Serranía de Ronda it's called. Lovely walking. If you ever want to come to this part of the world, it's a very, very nice part of the world and very authentically Spanish. So it seems to be falling everywhere at the moment. Any other questions?
There's lots of people saying that they can see us and they're meant to be on screen too. So guys, now you can see us. You should have a message from Tyndall Wines inviting you to hang out. So click on the message and join the Hangout, because I've invited you a few times now. So you should be able to click in, and then you'll appear and you can ask real-time questions, and we can go into the tasting. Sorry about all the technical problems. It is our first one, and obviously we're all a little bit new to Google Hangouts. I'm going to ask Ed a couple more questions. Please, if you want to post, if you're still having problems, in the questions, and we'll do that. But otherwise, we'll keep going, and hopefully you'll all join us as and when you find the message. All right, thanks, guys. I know when I went to Spain with Ed, it was fascinating because we went to all these different regions and tried all the proper indigenous grapes from the regions, and him and Bruce put a little New World twist on them. But today we're going to try the Catalan Eagle, the Heights of the Charge white from Rueda, and the Turret Fields, which is from Jumilla. And Ed, it'd be really good if you could just talk a bit more about Jumilla as a region, because a lot of people haven't heard of it.
Okay, I'll just go and get a little map. Hang on, I'll be back in a second. This is our handy brochure here, and this has got all the regions. Hopefully people can see that. I can see, yeah, there we are. So Jumilla, to do this properly, it's all in reverse for me. There we are, down there. Can you see that? There's a little red blob down there. So we're in the south, the sort of southeast of Spain. Levante, as it's called. It's about 70 kilometers inland, and it's a traditionally big bulk producer. A lot of their bulk wine used to go up to Rioja and off to Switzerland and all sorts of places, and get blended into whatever. But 20, 30 years ago, quite a few producers decided to do their own thing and bottle their own wine. And it's a beautiful area. It's pretty desolate. Vines are the only thing that will grow there unirrigated. They do have some irrigation, but it's drip irrigation. It's well regulated. The Monastrell vine, which, as I expect quite a few of you know, is Mourvèdre when it goes over the Pyrenees into France, is indigenous to that area. It's been planted there for 700-800 years, so it's adapted to these dry, difficult conditions. Between sort of 800 and 1,000 meters, good day-night temperature variation, so it's a good place to grow vines, and very, very healthy as well. They hardly ever need to spray. Diseases are a real rarity, so effectively most of the grapes are produced organically, at least de facto they are, even though a lot of the producers can't be bothered to get them certified and go through the costs of doing all that. We work with an operation called Juan Gil, the Hill family, G-I-L, and I've known them probably for at least a dozen years now. Tremendous people, and the whole family's involved, brothers, cousins, all that sort of thing. And they've really rather taken the world by storm. I mean, Parker gave one of their wines, El Nido, 100 points. That's made in another cellar. They work mainly with Monastrell, but they do a bit of Shiraz, a bit of Cabernet as well. And there we go.
I'm going to interrupt you, Ed. I've just read that our one viewer, Richie, who seems to be able to communicate, has said that your room is far prettier than mine.
That's true, yes.
Well, Richie, you see, wine merchants have really plush offices, and we have particularly nice cream breeze block walls. So, yeah. Should we try some wines, Ed? Because we've got
go on.
wine.
Well, let's for the white first. No, but would you want to try the red? Since I've been talking about it, it's up to you. You're in charge, Harriet.
I'm in charge. Let's try the white. I'm going to bring the bottle into the party. So here it is again. The Charge.
Heights of the Charge. Yeah. Bruce is South African, and he's obsessed with his medieval history. So he reckons there were knights charging across this area in the Middle Ages on their way to Santiago, the Camino. So hence the name. Slightly tenuous link, I reckon, but doesn't seem to be putting people off. This is 50% barrel fermented. Well, firstly, it's 70% Verdejo and 30% Viura, and 50% of all of that is barrel fermented. So various lots that are brought together. by us and the winemaker Rodolfo. The way it works with us is that Bruce and I go out to Spain sometime in January usually, spend a week out there. We visit our various suppliers. The producers are the same year in, year out. We don't chop and change. We don't make wine, but we do blend our own wines. And this is a particular blend that we put together in 2012 with Rodolfo, always with the winemaker there. We're certainly not going in there to tell them how to make wine. They're very good winemakers in the first place, which is why we've chosen them to work with. And they've also been extremely supportive towards the whole project. If we were to have our own winemaking and our own vineyard or bodega, whatever, the cost structure would unfortunately just go out the window. So that's the way we do it. We think it works well. You're not going to find these wines under another label. That's the main thing, the important thing. And we're certainly not trying to deceive anyone, but we don't make the wine as such. But I guess that our involvement is in some ways, it's sort of incremental steps, sometimes using our own barrels, sometimes it's the wine handling, if you will. With the reds, for example, we don't chill stabilize them, so sometimes they throw a bit of a deposit. Now, getting back to this one particularly, from Rueda, so that's here, if anybody can see this. That's here, so we're sort of Valladolid, we're northwest of Madrid.
Ed, you should have been a weather girl in your past.
Oh yeah, very much a continental climate. So hot and dry in the summer, cool nights. It loses about 20 degrees during the night, which is good for the grapes. They can take a breather. And in winter, I've been there. It's been -5. They actually make an ice wine in Rueda. It gets that cold during the winter months. And they obviously leave the grapes on the vine and they shrivel and get iced up. This one is, as I say, 70-30 Verdejo Viura. Verdejo giving it that sort of tropical fruit aromatic style that the Rueda whites now are well known for. But the Viura is quite, well, in Rueda terms, is quite old vine. It's about 35 years old. In fact, you pruned one of those vines, I seem to remember, Harriet, when you were there. And that gives it a really nice structure and a sort of steeliness that Verdejos on their own don't always have. So we're really pleased with this, and it has some very nice publicity.
We have a question from Frankie. Did you consider putting any Sauvignon Blanc in the blend?
Well, no, not really, because I'm not quite sure. I'm not convinced that Sauvignon works particularly well in that area. And given that Verdejo is a very aromatic variety in its own right, I'm not sure what it brings to the party. I find the Sauvignons, well, they're certainly 100% ones, and Riscal does one, really quite austere. The Verdejo is definitely the calling card variety of that area. It's been planted there for the best part of 1,000 years, and Sauvignon is very much an interloper. And a newcomer, and I don't think it brings anything to the party. So we're very happy with the blend we've got. So we sort of plan to continue with that. There are some good Sauvignons in that area, but there are also some good Sauvignons from all around the world, of course.
I have to say, just trying it again, it's only $14.50 on our website. This isn't a sales exercise, but it really delivers bang above its buck. I just love the oak integration is fantastic. It's got lovely sweet fruit, and it's got that minerality. So it just works really well. It's delicious. And I know that a few of the viewers are trying this at the same time, but sadly they're not actually in the Hangout. So any comments about it, please, guys, put it on the questions and answers app, and we'll read it out. But we're going to go onto the Turret Fields, which is the same price. And as we were saying, from Humia. So I'll let Ed take over.
Okay, so in line with our sort of mainly indigenous variety rule, this is 75 Monastrell, which I mentioned earlier it's been planted there for many hundreds of years. So it's adapted to that tough, arid climate. It's very much sort of spaghetti western country around there. As I say, vines are pretty much the only thing that will grow unassisted by irrigation. And as you can see, lovely label there. It's holding up. 25% is Shiraz. The two certainly marry very well. Monastrell on its own can sometimes be a little hollow in the middle, so we find the Shiraz gives it a nice sort of smoky touch, but also helps to fill in that gap in the middle as well. Now, this has had about 4 months in oak, American barrels, but also has had some staving, which we asked them to do after the wine obviously had been made, and the blend had been put together by us with the winemaker, who's called Bartolo. What we do is that Bartolo gives us a sort of range of various options to blend with. And in fact, your dad did one blend one year, didn't he, Harriet? I can't remember. I think it was the 2010. We upped the Shiraz element. It used to be about 20%, and we upped it as a result of the Tyndall visit. So obviously costing us a lot more now, Harriet. Thank you very much. Yep. And then give it just a little touch more oak from the staving, which are just blocks of wood which are put in the stainless steel vats, all rather unromantic, but it gives it that extra kiss of vanilla, if you will. And we're very happy with it. This is the wine in our range, which I think probably is most New World in style, which is not surprising considering where it comes from. You can tell that it's had a lot of sun on its back. This is not shy and retiring. It's 14.5%. I think in actuality this one's about 14.7, but it's 14.5 on the label. And it's got that spice, the raisin you get from the Monastrell, and a nice sort of rich, warm character. At the same time, I think still quite refreshing. So hopefully people will agree that you don't just want to have one glass and then put it aside. It has a freshness to it as well as that sort of rich, spicy, as I say, almost New World style.
Yeah, no, just tasting it now, it's absolutely delicious. The balance is fantastic, and it's just got that lovely dark fruit that's giving it a lot of structure, and it is really good. I'm just reading from Frankie saying it's lovely texture and would partner well with lots of dishes. So what would you partner it with, Ed?
Well, we've had this with, let's see, in Spain with paella. It goes really well. A rabbit and snail paella. There's a place that we go to that's fantastic. And then, of course, in Spain they do things like lamb chops very nicely, and meat. So you don't have to go to Spain to drink it, obviously. But even I think something slightly spicy like a curry, it would go well with this. It's quite robust, and as in I can see you don't like that idea. No. Turn your nose up at that one. But the usual kind of cheeses and da. But it's a great barbecue wine. We're having a barbecue here later on our little patio if the weather holds out, and we'll be polishing that off quite happily with some sort of garlicky sausages and burgers and everything else.
Can you see that Laura's suggested that she's getting a plum caramel scent off it, which I think is pretty spot on, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I find the Monastrell for me is sort of raisin. It's and that kind of dry, almost dry fig character you get sometimes with southern Italian wines as well, which is not that surprising because it's very similar to the landscape and climate, south of Italy and that part of Spain as well. Yeah, certainly, I think that I would go along with that. They're dark berry fruits, isn't it? It's dark fruits. It's rich.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why people like it.
No, it's really good. I think I'm going to have to go home now and have a curry and try it out.
Not too spicy though.
Yeah, no, not too spicy. So Ed, I think we've sort of managed to cover everything. Sadly, we couldn't get people online. I've just seen Patrick's just come, but he's missed the live one. I think, guys, what we're going to have to do is we're going to do another one of these in 2 or 3 weeks, and sadly Ed won't be with us, but we'll do another one with Ed, to make him not feel left out when we've got everyone linked in. As a first one, it's gone okay. We could have had more participants, but Google Plus is not that easy to master on the first attempt. So I just want to say, what?
People obviously are watching us, but
Yeah.
nobody can actually join in, which is a shame.
Yeah, exactly. But most of the people who I got in touch with this week have got wines to sample. So if anyone wants to join in on the next one, please just contact us on Facebook or Twitter with your details, and you can join in on the next hangout, and we'll send you out some wines, and we'd really appreciate your feedback, because that's what all this is about. It's online tasting, which is really important because not all of us can get to one place on one night, and if we can do it from our homes, then we're pretty lucky, although the banter afterwards might not be quite as interesting. So again, Ed, thanks a million, and will you give us some parting wisdom?
Okay, nice to talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm over and out now.
Thanks for joining in, guys. Yeah. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Say goodbye in Spanish, Ed.
Adiós a todos.
Thank you. Brilliant.
Hasta luego. Okay.
Bye, guys.
I don't know what